In the refactoring section, we talked very quickly about errors and the three types of errors that exist. Syntax errors are where there's something missing from the code, such as a missing semicolon. Runtime errors are things like trying to assign a string to an integer, while logical errors are things like saying there are 4 weeks in a month, 12 months in a year, and therefore 48 weeks in a year. To help address the complexity of logical errors, programmers normally create test cases which outline the correct position. And then when we are writing code, we have a couple of examples that we can work towards. In professional environments, test cases are created before any real code is written, because passing the test is how you measure completing the code you're working on. And so you can technically amend your process overview we looked at earlier to show creating test cases as being the second step of the process. This is known as test-driven development. The reason why testing is important is because it allows you to find mistakes in your code before you hand it over to whoever you're writing it for, which is a much better scenario than handing it over and then finding you've got mistakes in it later on. So how long do you keep tests after they've been created? The answer is that you should keep tests for as long as the code is in use. You might be asked to upgrade the software at a later point, and having all of the original tests means that you don't need to spend as long when you're updating the software testing every single possibility. Because you need to program before you're able to write test cases. So what do test cases look like? Imagine we have created this class called adder, with a method add, which just adds two numbers together. If you right click on the Project Explorer panel in Eclipse and then add a JUnit test from the drop down, Eclipse will create a new Java file for you with a sample test case. The user guide for JUnit testing is very thorough, so I would suggest spending some time going through it and making yourself familiar with it, but this is what a basic test case looks like. You essentially create a test method and create an instance of the class you want to test. You then make an annotation. In this example, we add some text so that we can figure out exactly what we are testing at any one point in time. I normally keep this brief, but there's no real limit on how much detail to put here. If you're using an assert equals statement, you then add a comma followed by the result you expect the method to return to you. So in this instance, we're expecting that the method will return a number 2 when we add 1 plus 1. Finally, we call the method and pass across any parameters. When you are done writing your tests, run the JUnit class, and you will see Java run through all of your tests and output the result, which looks like this. On a final note, when writing tests, the test should be targeted at the edge cases, as well as some expected good and some expected bad data. You shouldn't just be testing each method with one scenario. If you're going to spend time testing your code, you need to be confident that your code actually works.